next grafting exercise, we'll be grafting out in the field. We're here at the Burden Center today, out in an established orchard, and we're going to look at some of the techniques we can use to graft directly to a living tree. There are several advantages to field grafting. One, we have an established tree, an established root system, which allows us to graft to, which will feed that scion wood and help it establish without worrying about establishing the tree itself. Another thing that we can do, and one advantage of field grafting, is actually what happens if the cultivar that we're actually trying to grow, maybe it has some problems. Maybe this particular cultivar is more susceptible to a disease. Maybe it has some issues, and we just want to change the cultivar. So instead of planting a whole new tree, we can actually graft a new cultivar to this established tree and continue on with production. First graft we're going to show you today is called a 4-flap graft, or sometimes referred to as a banana graft. And you'll see where that name comes from in a minute. This graft is a favorite graft of the pecan grafters, and again, this is a very typical graft we'll see with pecans, but it will work with other species. And today we are again working with pear. So these are established pear trees out here, but we're going to be grafting again that southern barklet pear as our scion wood. What I'm working with today is about 3/8 of an inch, so I'm going to be looking for a stem about the same size. The smaller the stem gets, makes it a little trickier to do this graft. Actually would like something that's a little larger, maybe as much as a 1/2 inch or greater, but today we're going to be working with this, and I found a stem right about here. So nice clean area, don't have any buds or any lateral branching, so we're going to try to create that graft right on this young stem. So I will need a few inches to work with here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut above and basically remove this branch, open this up so I can work on this stem. The secrets of doing this graft properly is to use a rubber band and actually place that rubber band here at the base of where the graft is going to go. You're going to see why this rubber band is kind of important later on, but we just need to go ahead and place it on there at this moment before we start the actual cutting. The reason why this graft is called a 4-flap graft is because on the stem, I'm actually going to cut into the bark, into this, through the cambium layer, into this corky middle, and actually fold this back in 4 very distinct flaps. So watch as I cut. One of the other things I'm going to be trying my best to do is do these 4 cuts equally around the diameter of the stem. One more. This is a budding knife, has that little tip. I'm going to go ahead and peel back the bark, and you're going to be able to see very distinctly that very nice cambium layer that exists right under the bark, and peel back all these small flaps that I have created. Yeah, I have very distinctly 4 flaps. Try not to touch these cambiums too much, but I want you to be able to see how I've kind of created 4 distinct flaps. Hopefully you might also notice now where this graft gets its other name, the banana graft. You see the little central core? It's the banana. We're actually now going to remove that. I'm going to get inside here and I'm going to remove that central core, being sure not to damage those little flaps. And now creating, again, those 4 flaps and the core removed. Need to do the work on the sign itself. You didn't think we were going to do this whole graft without using a knife. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and cut the tip off of this piece of sign wood so I get some nice fresh wood. And now, with my sign, I'm going to create, again, 4 very distinct sections. And I'm going to very carefully get rid of that little bud there. I'm going to cut on 4 sides. And what I want to do is try to leave a little section of the cambium layer, a little section of the bark. There's going to be a great amount of the vascular cambium exposed here for this graft to take. So on each side, I'm going to leave that little section. One more. And hopefully create kind of a nice 4-sided layer with all that cambium exposed. Now I'm going to very carefully slip that sign wood down into that place there. And you can see where these 4 flaps are going to fold up, and here's all that cambium connection we're hoping to get. So I'm going to very carefully kind of hold this in place. And here's where the secret rubber band comes into play. The rubber band, we're going to just roll this back up over that to actually hold the sign in place as we wrap and cover this up. Here I am once again without my grafting tape, which would make this job much easier, but I'm going to go ahead and use just a very large grafting band to wrap this up and hold this again in place. I'm going to try my best, of course, to put a little pressure onto this to make sure that it stays in place. Here in the field, we're going to do a little bit extra to kind of seal that up and try to minimize the amount of evaporation and carbohydrate loss from this sign wood. And one of the things we're going to do is basically kind of wrap it in plastic. This will also kind of protect us from the elements. So I'm going to go ahead and again, we use different materials. We very commonly use just plastic bags. There are grafting waxes. There are all kinds of materials. Sometimes we'll use saran wrap, but we're going to go ahead and just use this plastic bag, and I will kind of seal it up here with a little tape. Use a little, in this case, duct tape to kind of hold that in place. One of the fun things about bringing the class out to Burden to do this lab is that in year after year of coming out here, we can come back and actually see some of the results. The students will get an opportunity to take home the whip and tongue grafts, but the field grafts are just left out here. So I can come back the next year and kind of see some of the success that they had grafting. So here is a graft from last year, and again, you can see it's all bound up still in the rubber band, but this was most likely a 4-flap graft. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut the band off and see how it's doing. I can almost see that there's been success because the sign wood is growing. So let's go ahead and cut this off. I'm kind of carefully try to cut through. Man, they banded this one good. Let's see if I can cut this little baby off. There it goes. Man, they did a good job. They didn't put their name on it, so I can't praise anybody for their work. There we go. So here, get rid of that. You can see all the callousing that took place in that 4-flap graft. It's kind of bulged out a little, kind of strangely there. But again, you can see where it's all grown together very nicely. And again, the scion wood has created a new branch in this tree.